Hello, everybody, and welcome to Senior Living Live. My name is Melissa. I hope you are having a fantastic day today. Well, we have a truly unique webinar for our viewers who are interested in how senior living communities are created from really the ground up. We are specifically talking about a brand new community coming to the East Memphis, Tennessee area, set to open up in 2023. It is called Opus East Memphis, and it is currently under construction and will come to life courtesy of the gentleman you see here, Sagestone Partners, LLC, a development and investment team that has been at the helm of creating several beautiful and stunning senior living communities, this one included. And this will be the latest and greatest Opus East Memphis, of course. Joining me now, the men you see here from Sagestone to answer some questions about the new community and how a community is created is Patrick Bryan and Dave Dlugolenski. Gentlemen, thank you so much for being here with me today.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, excellent. Well, let's dive right in. So we want to know a little bit about you guys, talk a little about Sagestone, but we want to hear a little bit more about yourselves and, of course, your vision for the company in, say, the next 5 years or so.
Absolutely. Well, again, thank you for having us. We're excited to be here. My name is Dave Dlugolenski. I'm the managing partner for Sagestone Partners. My background, I was heavily involved in investment banking up until about 10 years ago in New York City, primarily in real estate finance. And so I spent the most of my career financing projects like this and in other sectors of commercial real estate and residential real estate. I made the decision to relocate to Atlanta from New York 10 years ago and get into the private equity, real estate development and investment side of the business. There was a lot of drivers for that. Obviously, the credit crisis was one. I wanted to get closer to kind of start to finish, looking at a project when it's a piece of dirt versus coming in later in the process. It's a lot more tangible. I like the creative aspect of the design process and the construction process, and truthfully, learning that side of the business from design to construction to land acquisition really made us better investors as well, just overall. And so I founded a company about 8 years ago, which was the predecessor or sister company of Sagestone called Aspire Development Partners. Arbor Company was one of the first operators that we worked with. We made a very strategic decision to work with only best in breed, both on the design side of the business, but the construction side of the business, and obviously the operations side of the business with Arbor. And so we've enjoyed a tremendous run over the last 7 years. Patrick Bryan, who's on the phone with me, is one of our all-star creative visionaries, and he actually worked at the time for what was a third-party vendor providing interior design services. And so we made a very strategic decision a few years ago to bring everything as much as we could in-house to control those resources and to allow them the freedom to be more creative. We really try to focus our design and our company in terms of being design forward. And so, hopefully it shows through what you'll see today and that we are not what people think senior living is. We really kind of focus on a hospitality concierge, delivery method. A lot of really modern aesthetic, which is unique. I think a lot of people have a perception that, senior living is kind of more of a, kind of old country club mansion feel. But we really try to do it a little bit differently, both in terms of the materiality that we introduce, but also colors. We try to be playful because, we think it's just a unique chapter in people's lives to kind of act like kids again to an extent. And so we're very excited to be here. As far as the company is concerned, we have, I would say, specialized in senior housing for the last 7 years, but we've broadened and kind of started to do a lot more diversified development in areas of hospitality and office and traditional multifamily. And so that's allowed us to bring, both on the design side, but also on the operating side, different ideas and, cross-pollinate across different commercial real estate asset classes. So we really pride ourselves on our, being diversified in terms of what we do, but also being specialists in certain areas. But again, thank you for having us. And Patrick, I'll turn it over to you for a little background.
For sure. Just a little background about myself. I started with Sagestone when we started about 5 years ago, when the company was founded, and have been an interior designer for 12 years plus now at this point. And just have been very fortunate to end up in the senior living world. And, it's become one of the more challenging and rewarding types of design for me to do. So, it constantly keeps us on our toes, and we're trying to figure out what the latest and greatest is and look, in the future. And so it's really exciting. It's a niche market that at the end of the day, you can really be proud of and feel good about. So it's fun
And
to
I
be a part
admire
of it.
people like you who can literally look at dirt and envision this great grand community, as people will see when they look at the photographs for what actually will be in 2023. We're rhyming here. I feel like a rap star. I truly admire that, and I think that our viewers are going to admire it too when they see what you guys have in store for this particular community. And it's kind of, I think every community is unique, so the blueprints will be a little bit different for each one, but I think the processes are sort of the same, and that's a little bit what we'll get into today. So it was announced in 2021 that you would be partnering with the ARPA company to create this development, and we have mentioned the name. It is Opus East Memphis. So why Memphis? Why the name Opus, and why now?
Sure. So why Memphis? We look at Memphis as, from an investment perspective, as a sunrise city, meaning the sun is just beginning to rise there. Obviously, Nashville has enjoyed a lot of focus and a lot of investment dollars over the past few years as the music scene in Nashville has grown. But Memphis has really got a really rich history to it. Spending time in Memphis over the last 3 years, we've gotten to know what defines Memphis, and it truly is the people. We also looked at the quality and the age of the competition within the market, and kind of analyze supply demand drivers that to make sure the project was supportable. But when you look at Memphis, it's got a lot of really good attributes. The river is obviously a natural amenity, but it's really driven by three main industries, which is agriculture, healthcare, and healthcare technology, and then logistics and logistics technology with the airport and FedEx. And so from an investment perspective, those are all very large investment areas at the national level. And that's three areas where Memphis is known for. So it's on the macroeconomic perspective, there's been a lot of growth in Memphis. I would also say from a local leadership perspective, Memphis has had tremendous leadership over the past few years. They've made a lot of investment in their public infrastructure, whether it's the redevelopment of the riverfront, the convention center, the new airport terminal that opened. And so we look at those types of things where we look at local leadership to see if they're investing in the community, and not just investing in the community or the technology of whole, but trying to look forward and try to invest for the future. And so that really drove us to Memphis. But I'd say overwhelmingly, it's just the quality of the people and the quality of the culture they call the city of soul. And having, like I said, visited there many times, and now part of the business community, it's the people that really differentiate Memphis. Patrick, I know you've been there many times now with me, and you may have a different perspective, but you're also, having grown up nearby, have been there, been to Memphis many more times than I have.
For sure. Memphis was, in my backyard growing up. It was, the closest big city that we had, so grew up going there a lot. And what's really exciting about the time that we're in right now is all of these southern cities are really revitalizing at an amazing pace. I mean, we see it in Nashville, with Austin, Texas, and now Memphis. It's just really exciting for that to start taking place, and for people to start noticing these great cities, and really for Memphis to become the belle of the ball again. It was always such a beautiful city and great architecture. And like Dave said, the people are just the epitome of hospitality. So.
The belle of the ball. I love that. And I do 100% agree with you. We're all located in Atlanta, if anybody wants to know. And so we see the revitalization of all of these cities, from Atlanta, Chattanooga, all these cities in the South. And it's great. I think it's good for everybody all across the board. And hey, you're in a warmer part of the country, so come on down, you Northerners up there. We know it's chilly up there right now. It's not too bad down south, so come on down. So let's start kind of with that blueprint, right? You talked about looking at dirt and then creating something from that will actually come to fruition. So from the blueprint phase to the construction phase, what goes into that, gentlemen, and how does that initial vision continue to evolve as time goes on?
So I'm going to go back because I did not answer the second part of your question, which was why the name Opus, and then I'm going to let Patrick answer the question you just asked. And so Opus, outside of being the brand of a great wine, is defined as, any artistic work, especially one on a large scale. And again, as we try to differentiate ourselves in terms of design, it just felt like it was an appropriate name for this community, just given the scale of the community, something that we continue, we want to be very art focused, and, on a large scale. So that was what drove the name Opus, is that we wanted to encourage the artistic, vibrancy within the project. And again, this is the largest senior housing project ever developed in Memphis history. So there you have it. That's Opus.
Wonderful, wonderful. And no pressure at all, right? With that last little disclaimer.
Yeah.
So you guys better go big or go home. That's all we're saying. But I think you will accomplish that, and I think everybody will see that by the time we're done here. So let's get to the processes, guys, of how it starts to what it looks like and the end result when it's finished.
Yeah, so I'm going to start from kind of the market analysis side of things and finding the right local partners. My job as the developer is to make sure that I put the right players on the field, really serving as the quarterback to the team and directing resources to make sure that we're executing properly. So we do a lot of planning on the front side, even before we get to the blueprint side of things. It's really detailed market analysis in terms of what types of amenities do people want to see. We often organize community groups and do a lot of polling and questioning of what do people want to see in the community, what types of units, what types of closet sizes. We compare it to other existing properties in the market. And so there's a lot of data analysis that goes into defining what we're going to build and how many units, what's the mix of studios, 1 bedrooms, 2 bedrooms, how many cottages should we add to the program as well, and then trying to is kind of the space programming to a budget that works for the market. And so after we've gone through that, what I consider kind of defining the building program, and we do that from day one with Arbor. We don't really look at projects without the operations team sitting there with us from day one looking at the property. So Judd Harper, the president of the Arbor company, was with me, and before we committed to the project, Judd was looking at the dirt with me in Memphis. And so what that does, these are very unique buildings because if you think about it, it's really mixed use in one building. So it's not a mixed use development, it's mixed use in one building. So you've got restaurants that are operating next to gyms, that are operating next to a hotel, that's operating next to a multifamily apartment. And obviously we're providing different types of nursing services. So you're, to an extent, operating a hospital as well inside the confines of one building. And so that was brought to my attention through one of these types of formats. I said, you're doing mixed use in one building. And it didn't even occur to me, but it's, there's a lot of planning that goes in on the front side. And then once we do that, we make sure that we've got the right team. So we always have local partners, both on the design team, whether it's the civil engineer, whether it's the architect, whether it's the interior design team. And then it's just a matter of getting the right team in place to execute both the design, the construction, and then ultimately the operations of the facility. But Patrick, maybe I'll let you kind of take over from there and talk a little bit more about the blueprint to construction.
For sure. As Dave mentioned, we really start this process pretty early on. So, the patch of dirt that we had to work with was amazing. We walked on to the site the first time, and there's a beautiful mansion and rolling hills and beautiful trees, and with the Dixon Art Gallery right next door. I mean, we were just given all kinds of, basically bullet points of a pathway of design and concept, and it all just laid itself out for us. And we ran with it. The soul of Memphis, the hospitality, the Southern charm. We really wanted to bring all of that into the design as we went through the process. And, Opus has been an interesting project because it started before the pandemic. And so, what that gave us was a great dialogue and insight into what was going on, what was to come, what could come, all of these questions were coming up. And so it really allowed us to hone in on those types of aspects of design and implement those into this project. So everything that we've learned from the pandemic is going to be wrapped up in this project, and in a beautiful way. It's going to be really exciting. And as we continue, we just want to create a beautiful environment that people feel at home. And what we like to say is we want it to be comfortable without being homely or dowdy, but we at the same time want it to be really elegant and luxurious without feeling stuffy. So it's a really careful line to walk, and we have a lot of fun doing it. And like Dave said, we have a lot of creative leeway on these projects. So we really push some limits, and we like to think that we're raising the bar and coming up with new and better ideas every day.
So you used all those great adjectives to describe the area, and then Dave's talking about it being mixed use. And I'm just thinking, do people have to hold you back, Patrick, when you feel all these design ideas? And I guess dialing that in, that's got to be tough, right?
It is. I mean, sometimes Dave is good about that. I'll definitely, we kick off a project and my mind goes wild at 100,000 feet. And, by the time we start putting pen to paper, closer to 30,000 feet, and my head's out of the clouds a little bit. But definitely keep that feeling and that drive to have the same amount of impact that my original head in the clouds idea had. We want it to still have that someone walking in and just going, I'm home. I've made it, in so many different ways.
And that really is the goal, is, this is somebody's home. And it should feel like home to them. It's a beautiful home, but it's going to be home for them. And you mentioned the pandemic. So guys, let's shift gears now a little bit, because that does definitely segue into our next question. And that is some of the trends in senior living. So very different, maybe 3 years ago to what it is now. And you guys are having to incorporate those changes into the design, right? So what is the latest and greatest in senior living right now? What are residents asking for, and how do you think you'll be able to deliver here?
So I'll take a stab at the just to set it up. We really build our communities based on 5 key principles. We want to deliver a healthy environment, healthy food, physical activity, social interaction, and cultural engagement. And so we try to deliver that through the design side of the business, in all those different areas. Obviously, technology is something that is evolving rapidly. And so you have to be careful in this business, because there is a new technology being delivered every day to satisfy some type of request, demand, need. but technology also changes very rapidly. So I'm going to focus on kind of the technology side of things. I'll let Patrick take some of the more, what do people want to see and touch and feel. We've evaluated tons of different technology solutions, mainly around life safety. So emergency call solutions, looking at different types of, well-being type devices, wearable type devices that we can monitor different types of, major statistics for our residents. On the kind of smart apartment side of things, there's smart technology within the apartments, whether it be the lighting controls, the HVAC controls, or any other types of systems that are now integrated into kind of a smart home delivery. Because what we've noticed, it's more of an ease of living type concept. We want people to live easier and not be as focused, and a lot of that can be accomplished through these smart technologies. So the technology side of things has been amazing to watch evolve. When we first got in the business, Wi-Fi was not talked about very often. Now people differentiate the buildings or the quality of the building based on how fast the Wi-Fi is. So we also offer technology classes for, obviously our average age is, late 80s typically in our buildings. And now we've started to see that, people will choose an apartment based on the Wi-Fi signal. And so it's interesting. We've always trended to overinvest in technology and technology solutions. And now with not only what the customers need, but it's also the operator. The operator just giving, where labor costs are trending and different inflationary pressures. We've got to figure out how to be more creative in our delivery, and technology plays a major role in that. And so we've looked at, robotic delivery of medicine. And so there's all different things that we've explored. On the pandemic side of things, it did allow us a chance to reset and look at, what types of technologies, materiality we could use to adapt to the pandemic. A lot of that had to do with air quality. A lot of it had to do with the types of surfaces, hard surfaces, a lot more quartz than granite, because granite's porous and can basically, take in the different types of bacteria. And we looked at different types of unit changes. And
I'm so proud that he knows that now, by the way.
You should be. But, we've got automatic temperature scanners at the entrances to try to be predictive if someone is falling ill. And so, again, there's a lot of different solutions still being developed that relate to the pandemic. But, we do consider ourselves to be kind of a leader in that field. And, we've done a lot of research, and we've looked at a lot of different technology solutions, but we do definitely try to differentiate ourselves in terms of technology. But Patrick, I'll hand it over to you.
Yeah, so senior living is constantly evolving. Like I said before, that's really what makes it exciting. Is it's kind of not a new frontier, but I feel like people are starting to look at it that way, of like, how do we ask the questions that haven't been asked, and push ourselves in different directions. So it's constantly keeping us on our toes. And one thing that we did after such a great success with our Lakeside at Amelia Island project was we wanted to go back and talk to the residents and get their feedback on the, where they lived, their home, their new environment, on a day-to-day basis. And brutal feedback is what we wanted and what we asked for. And what we learned is that really what they loved the most about the community were the amenities that allowed them the freedom, the independence to live their life and experience new things. And so we really wanted to bring that into Opus. So we put a big emphasis on the activity areas, the amenity areas. We've got multiple dining venues. At any point you could, start off your morning with yoga on the grand lawn and end it with a mixology class in the dining lounge at night. So it's really going to be an exciting experience, an everyday experience for them to explore new things and learn new things. You know, you can never get to an age where it's not important to keep learning and evolving. So we definitely want to push that with our residents and show them that it's possible.
Can you lower the age range for those who can move in? Please?
I'm trying to get a space held for myself in the future.
Okay. I'll move in next door. So this is the fun part, guys, right? We get to see your vision. And as we're looking at this, and I know we're going to see some photos here, can you tell us sort of what we've kind of touched on a little bit, sort of the historical aspects of Memphis, you know, the good food, the music, the history, and how that all ties into what we're going to see?
Absolutely. I'm gonna let Patrick kind of drive on the imagery side of things. You know, I will tell you that Opus sits in kind of the arts and cultural center of Memphis, and so the Memphis Botanical Gardens, Audubon Park, the Dixon Art Gallery are all within a football throw of the site, and so we carried on that tradition within the design. So you'll notice it's very Memphis focused in terms of how we incorporate different design ideas into the project, but heavy emphasis on arts and culture throughout the project. And Patrick can kind of take us through a test drive of what it's going to be.
So this is kind of just an overview image of our living spaces that we have here at Opus. We have a lot of great textures and patterns, and what really kicked this project off for us was, you know, like I've mentioned before, the traditional Southern roots of Memphis, and then also, you know, having the Dixon Art Gallery next door that really drove a lot of our concept. So we really wanted to emphasize art and traditionalism. So with that, we took a lot of things that were standard, you know, designs that, you know, for instance, you see here a Knoll sofa, which is kind of a could be a dated design, and we're taking it and we're gonna update it with great fabrics and some acrylic panels and certain things. So we basically are taking traditionalism and turning it on its head, is what I like to say, and giving it a new spruce up and show that, you know, you can really make something new again. And that's kind of the concept throughout the whole project. And that's how we want our residents to feel as well, is, you know, it's never too late to brush it off and create a new self. And that's what we're trying to create here. So we'll kind of walk through a couple of these. Like I said, the art was a big focus for us. So we've actually, we're going to have art galleries throughout the project with art that residents can go and sit and relax and enjoy. And that's one thing that we found from our Amelia Island project unintentionally, was that, you know, the residents really liked the art that was displayed, and they actually ended up turning it into a happy hour wine and art tour. And, you know, when we heard that, we were just like, oh, wow, how do we piggyback on that? How do we, you know, expand on it? And so we put that a lot into this project. And so that built on art galleries throughout the project, wall coverings with patterning and fabrics that, you know, really give you a luxurious feel throughout the project. So yeah, so we have all different types of materials throughout the project. What I like to play on is, you know, in one room, if, for instance, you have a small scale tile, let's bring in a large scale pattern with it and play on that. So it really just builds on itself as the design goes. And Memphis really gave us a lot of great inspiration to keep going in that direction. So as far as, you know, from what I've heard, we've had some really great feedback from everyone. Our sales office is scheduled to open at the end of the summer. And, you know, it's really exciting for something like that because it's the first time that the community can really come in and see what you've built and what's, you know, coming their way, and really be inside of that environment. You know, whether, you know, although it's a small marketing center, we bring in the same finishes from the main building and create almost a vignette of what you can expect when you actually walk in the front doors for the first time.
Yeah, Patrick, why don't you go ahead into one of the next slides, so we can kind of show some of the exterior elements as well. I mean, the feedback has been overwhelming. We have a great neighbor in the Audubon Homeowners Association next to us, and so, you know, we pride ourselves in our ability to work and be good neighbors. And so obviously everyone is concerned with what's going to go in their backyard. And so, you know, through the zoning and entitlement process, we made the community members really partners of ours. And so we took a lot of input. We tried to respect the design integrity of the neighborhood, and, you know, make sure that from a materiality perspective, we were respectful, but also we were adding value to the neighborhood overall, because a lot of people get concerned when they hear of these larger scale projects going, you know, nearby where they live. And so, you know, we pride ourselves on working collaboratively with our partners and our local partners. And I think it shows through just in terms of the quality of the materials, both inside and outside the building. But, you know, again, we pride ourselves on sense of arrival. And so you'll see we invest and overinvest just in kind of the higher impact areas, the front door, the living room, things that, you know, that you would do at your house. And so, you know, we've got a very grand approach to the building. Some of the I would say grander cottages are located along the main entry. We've got water features on the front. You know, we've got electric vehicle charging stations. We've got, you know, concierge valet services that will use the house Tesla car to bring people to doctor's appointments, things like that. So there's, it's both the quality of the physical plant, but also the quality of the services that we offer and the quality of the experience as you approach and you enter the building. Why don't you go ahead to the next one, Patrick? Just show some of the interior renderings that we've got as well.
It's beautiful. It's so far stunning. Go ahead.
Yeah. So Patrick, I'll let you talk about the interiors because this is obviously I didn't make this. So.
All right. Yeah. So, you know, kind of how I mentioned earlier with changing up the design of the sofa, you can see here, that's, you know, our interpretation of a modern Knoll sofa. And, you know, we wanted to really play with scale in the lobby. And so right when you walk in, you really have, like Dave said, a sense of arrival, you know, and we wanted to pull from everything that was Memphis. And so we went ahead and put this great grand piano smack dab in the center of the room. And you can actually sit around it with a glass bar top on it and have, you know, a mint julep in the evening and listen to someone play the piano and meet new people and have great conversations. And so we really brought that into this and gave, you know, great scale with the fireplace. That was one thing that kind of kicked off this room for me. I know it's kind of a small thing to some people, but for me, you know, doing a 5-foot tall see-through fireplace right in the front lobby just really gives you a sense of that grandeur that we want you to feel with this property. And the minute you walk in the door, we hope that that's exactly how you'll feel.
It's gorgeous. Yeah. And it looks like we've got there's the dining area. That looks spectacular.
Yeah. So our culinary experiences in any of our properties with Arbor has just been amazing. And that was one thing that we got back from our Amelia Island residents was that they loved, the dining room and the experiences that were had from that, from cooking classes and chefs coming in to, speak, and different types of cuisines at different nights, and just keeping it fresh. And so we really focused on that. And we have different dining venues throughout the property. And so, you can start off at, happy hour in the lobby, bistro, hanging out with people, playing pool, and then move on into the dining area where we have a separate dining lounge that's a little more intimate, more low-level, moody lighting is what I like to say. And then, moving into this great dining room that you see here, where we've broken it off into sections. We wanted it to feel like a restaurant, and bring in the kitchen into the dining room. So we have a huge window where you can see the chefs cooking and preparing everything. And, that's really important to people, especially these days with cleanliness and health issues going on all over and coming up every day. And so we wanted to have full visibility to how your food's being made. And also, it's just really cool to be able to look in there and see everything going on, and it just gives more activity to the room. So it's been really exciting to build on that. And I'll kind of touch on some of our amenities as well. Like I said, the property gave us a beautiful backdrop to build on. And so we have great courtyards and amazing outdoor spaces, as you see down here to your right. And also wellness was a huge proponent of this as we moved forward. And so we really focused on a whole wellness wing of this property. So you have not only your standard salons, but we have massage rooms, a full spa setup with locker rooms, indoor pool, saunas. You can take a full day and really feel like you've gone out to a 5-star resort with a spa, and take that time to yourself. And it's great. It's really exciting.
Beach beds are a wonderful addition, or the pool beds, I should say. You could maybe pretend like you're at the beach in one of those, but just stunning, absolutely stunning.
Yeah, so these are just some real images from past projects that we thought we would share to show you some kind of what you've seen so far has been mostly 3D renderings, but these are real images from some of our current projects that we have.
So then this is a good place for this next question. And we'll get to the construction time and where we're at and when it opens once again towards the end of our conversation. But what does make Sagestone a leader in your field as we take a look at some of these real properties that are currently in existence, and what separates you from other development and investment teams in the country?
I think there's a few things that really differentiate. Again, this is all about design, and I think from a design perspective, we are definitely viewed as kind of design forward and leaders within the industry. And as part of being designers and being creative, you have to take risk. And for an industry that is I would say has historically been very risk averse, because most people think about senior housing and think, okay, I want to reduce risk. And so we think about it a little bit, obviously not from a safety or security perspective, but from a design perspective. We're willing to make investments, and not all of them pay off, but we're willing to try new things to see how we can continue to elevate the experience. So that's one. We approach every project from a long-term perspective. I think a lot of developers are known for trying to do things as cost effectively as possible, and then they sell the project and move on to the next and leave it for the next owner. we make every decision as if this was our home and we were going to live here for the next 30 to 50 years of our life. And so we have found that that proves to be the best experience for us as investors, but also for the operator that operates the building, and then ultimately the residents, because, you know, at the end of the day, without happy residents, you know, we're not in business. And so our goal is to make sure that we've got happy residents no matter what we do. And so we factor that into every investment decision that we make. And, you know, a lot of people look at us sometimes and say, wow, you know, how could you do that? Or how could you even think about it? That's so crazy to think about. You know, one example is in which it doesn't seem like it's crazy now, but we were one of the first senior living operators and developers to use keyless door entries. So, you know, RFID door entries. Everyone else had always traditionally used keyed entries. So we recognize that seniors often have hard times remembering keys and finding keys and things like that. And so it was a major upgrade at the time. And, you know, when we first started doing it, no one else had done it. And so it's just the little things that we started doing 7 years have become industry standard now at this point. And, you know, we're pretty proud of certain elements like that. And I think ultimately we just have a very passionate, caring team of people, from the operator to our designers, to our ownership groups and our investment groups. You know, we kind of joke about it, but we really, our goal is to help residents and help their families, because, you know, aging it should be elegant. It's not always elegant, and we want to provide the best environment for you to age and age gracefully in place. And so we call it compassionate capitalism, because we really do provide a service. And at the end of the day, the most rewarding thing is to go and see that you've built something where people live and they live happily. And so I think, you know, it's the passion, it's the care, it's kind of the long-term minded, you know, how we think about value creation and who we create value for. And, you know, like I said, number one, we try to create value for our residents. And as a byproduct, we end up, you know, creating value for our team as well. But Patrick, I don't have anything else you want to add, but that's really how we look to differentiate ourselves.
Just to piggyback on what he said, I mean, really, I think what sets us apart is that we do care tremendously about the final product and how everyone feels about it and how happy the residents are. And that's really what makes a difference, I think, with us, is that, you know, at the end of the day, we're pushing ourselves to think outside of the box and create environments with a fresh take. So that, you know, residents and visitors and staff all feel like they're at home and in a, you know, safe space. And we really strive to stand out from the crowd and be different with senior living. So like Dave said, you know, we get to take some risks and push the envelope a little bit. So I think that that's really where we shine.
Yeah, technology, beauty, Tesla's, charging stations. I mean, you really have it all here in this community. It is sensational, I think, is the proper term to use here. And it looks gorgeous. And I know you guys are going to bring that to life, and it's very exciting. So, you know, we talk about target dates for the opening of some of these communities, and this particular target opening is early 2023. Where are we at now with the construction guys, and how does that target date look? Are we going to stick to that?
I hope so. You know, I will say that we are in unprecedented times from a supply chain and logistics perspective. We're also facing some cost pressures, but you know, again, we pride ourselves in being very you know, flexible in terms of how we approach those things. Yes, right now we're on schedule to open February of 2023. Our cottages will begin to deliver late 2022. We may or may not, depending on whether we've got the ability to move some people in towards the end of this year. But we feel good about the date in terms of the construction activity. The buildings are fully framed. The cottages are kind of following suit. The roof is going on the independent living building right now. We'll begin setting windows in about 30 days. And, the goal is to basically get the building sealed in within the next 60 days so that we can really start the interior work. And so that becomes a critical date in almost any construction project, is to get it, topped off and sealed in, because that keeps the water out of the building. And so we're just now entering a good period of weather for Memphis. So we should start to see a lot drier days and a lot more productivity on site. But, again, we are not immune to some of the, what everyone else is experiencing from a delay perspective. And so some things we can control and think smarter and differently, and some things are out of our control. And so we still feel good about the date opening in February of 2023.
And I know you'll do everything in your control. Again, so many things out of your control, but it does give a little wiggle room in case there are some delays. But you guys sound like you're going to be right on target, and I know that's exciting for those who are literally counting the calendar days
Yeah,
to get there.
we've got groups of people that are have already made reservations, and countless others that are waiting to see when we open the model unit and the sales cottage, to understand. They want, a lot of buyers or renters, they want to touch and feel it before they commit. And so, and that's scheduled to happen in June of this year. So, we'll have something that people can touch, see, kind of feel a finished product in, less than 90 days at this point. So we're super excited.
Perfect. And guys, as we wind down here, I think it's been very informative, especially for those who do have an interest and can't touch and feel yet. This will help certainly give them an hour's worth of what they can look forward to. But any parting thoughts about this particular community that you want people to know, or about your partnership with the Arbor Company?
No, I mean, our partnership with the Arbor Company is truly a marriage, and we look at it the same way with our residents. We expect everything to be a very long-term relationship, and it has been. They've been a tremendous operating partner, really what I consider to be the best in the business. And we've interviewed every major operator. They manage under 50 communities. They are able to deliver what I call a boutique service delivery, where it's very localized and very differentiated. It's not a corporate atmosphere where some of the larger, groups that operate hundreds of buildings throughout the United States can be a little bit different in terms of how they operate, and more financial focused than, kind of resident focused. And so we are excited about our marriage to the Arbor Company, the service delivery. We feel like we've got the best piece of real estate in Memphis for this product. We feel like we've got the best operator in the Southeast, and I've got the best creative team in the business. So we're excited for people to be able to come in and touch and feel. And we really, rather than community outreach, we call it community inreach, and try to bring people into the building to feel and touch and say, wow, I didn't know this was senior housing. And so we're excited to welcome, visitors, residents, and we're working as hard as we can to get it opened as soon as possible.
Changing the perspective and the minds of people all about senior living, one community at a time. You guys are knocking it out of the park. So Patrick and Dave, I think this has really opened our viewers' eyes, and just how communities, not just this one, Opus East Memphis, but many of your communities really come to life. The thought that goes into each design, and how that's all incorporated throughout the construction phase and beyond. This is one more opportunity to sort of toot your horn beyond the Arbor Company, but any other interesting projects you have coming up on the horizon that you like to share with some of our viewers?
We're, as developers, we've always got a pipeline of projects. I would say probably the most exciting project is also in Memphis. We've got a large mixed-use development in downtown Memphis that sits between the FedEx Forum and the Redbird Stadium. It's about 800 apartments, a couple office buildings, 2 hotels, and so really looking to change the game. And so transformative is probably the way that we like to describe ourselves. And the only thing we want stuff that's going to deliver impact and change, and through that deliver, you know, a very positive impact, both from a community and an economic development perspective. And you know, that project should start in the next 90 days as well. And we'll offer some amenities for the residents of Opus to go downtown and spend some time, you know, eating, dining, playing, you know, if they wanted to catch a game or a baseball game or, you know, Grizzlies game. So that's a very exciting project. And we've got a few more of these in other major markets, Charleston, Fort Lauderdale. We're looking at a few projects here in Georgia again. So, you know, our goal is not to, you know, not to have to do 10 projects a year. We just want to do 2 or 3 really impactful projects per year.
Yeah, so you guys are really working the generations here, and mom and dad can be in the senior living community, and then I can go live down in this new project that you have ready to unveil very shortly in Memphis. Very, very smart guys, very nice. And I think that this has been very informative, as I mentioned, and I just thank you both so much for taking the time to be with us today and to share your knowledge all about senior living.
Thank you.
Thank you. It's been great.
Thank you. Opus East Memphis opens February 2023. For availability and more information about this particular community, please contact the Arbor Company, 901-763-8498. Thank you so much for being a part of this webinar today, and thank you so much for being a part of Senior Living Live. Have a great day, everybody.